Ladies and gentlemen, today I'll walk you through the gripping story of American Gangster, a film that weaves together ambition, corruption, and the pursuit of power in 1970s America. The movie introduces us to two parallel lives: Frank Lucas, a rising drug lord, and Richie Roberts, an incorruptible detective, and the dramatic collision course they're set on. So let's begin. Our story opens in Harlem, 1968, where Frank Lucas, played by the charismatic Denzel Washington, works as a driver and trusted right-hand man to the feared mob boss Ellsworth "Bumpy" Johnson. Bumpy is not just a criminal kingpin, but a figure of authority in Harlem, one who provides for the community while keeping rivals at bay. However, things change dramatically when Bumpy suddenly passes away. For Frank, this is not just the loss of a mentor, it's an opportunity. He observes the disarray in Harlem's underworld and decides it's time to take control. Frank begins his rise in the criminal empire with one revolutionary idea: cutting out the middlemen. He hatches a plan to smuggle heroin directly from Southeast Asia, bypassing the layers of corruption that inflate costs and dilute quality. Through a connection in Bangkok, Frank uses US military planes returning from Vietnam to transport the drugs hidden in the coffins of fallen American soldiers. His product, branded Blue Magic, is of unmatched purity and is sold at a lower price than competitors, earning him dominance in Harlem's drug trade. Frank's operation is disciplined, efficient, and brutal, as he eliminates anyone who threatens his business. On the other side of the story, we meet Richie Roberts, played by Russell Crowe, a detective in New Jersey. Richie is a man of contrasts, fiercely honest in his work, but struggling in his personal life. Early in the film, Richie finds a suitcase containing $1 million in unmarked drug money. Against the advice of his colleagues, he turns it in, gaining a reputation as the only honest cop in a department drowning in corruption. This act earns him the ire of his peers, but also the attention of higher-ups, who appoint him to lead a special narcotics task force. Richie, burdened with a crumbling marriage and a custody battle for his son, pours all his energy into this mission. As Frank's empire expands, he draws his family into the business, recruiting them to manage various aspects of his growing operation. Despite his immense wealth, Frank is careful to maintain a low profile, adhering to a strict code of discretion. However, his carefully constructed anonymity begins to crumble when he attends a high-profile boxing match wearing an extravagant fur coat. A gift from his wife, this flashy moment catches the attention of Richie's team, who had been struggling to identify the new power player in Harlem's drug trade. Richie and his team delve deeper into the narcotics underworld, uncovering Frank's ingenious smuggling operation. Their investigation leads them to trace the heroin shipments back to the Vietnam War and the military planes being used for transportation. Meanwhile, Frank faces growing threats from all sides: corrupt law enforcement demanding bribes, Italian mobsters encroaching on his territory, and rivals attempting to undercut his business. Despite these pressures, Frank's empire seems unstoppable until Richie's relentless investigation finally closes in on him. In a dramatic turn, Richie's task force raids Frank's operation, seizing a massive heroin shipment and arresting him. But the story doesn't end here. Frank, ever the strategist, sees an opportunity even in his downfall. Faced with the prospect of a lifetime in prison, he decides to cooperate with Richie, exposing the network of corrupt police officers who had protected and profited from his empire. His testimony leads to the conviction of over 100 law enforcement officials, sending shockwaves through the justice system. The film concludes with Frank's sentencing: 15 years in prison, a reduced sentence in exchange for his cooperation. Meanwhile, Richie transitions out of law enforcement and into a career as a defense attorney, ironically representing Frank in later years. The final scene shows Frank stepping out of prison into a world vastly different from the one he once ruled, a man shaped by both his successes and his failures. American Gangster is more than just a crime drama. It's a story about ambition, how it can elevate and destroy. It's a story about morality, exploring the blurred lines between good and evil, law and crime. Frank Lucas and Richie Roberts may have been on opposite sides of the law, but their stories are deeply intertwined, revealing the human cost of power, corruption, and redemption. It's a tale of two men who, in their pursuit of control, left indelible marks on the world around them.